This is another episode of me documenting the day-to-day process that I am taking to achieve long-term consistency in the financial markets with a guarantee, a 100% guarantee, because of my persistent, continuous action every single day, my ability to learn, the faith that I have in myself, the belief that I have in myself, and knowing what I'm capable because of my persistent day-to-day action. Anyways, this is not the optimal start to a trading month. Down 2R on Monday, down 1.34R on Tuesday. So what the fuck is going on? Well, it's literally the same way that I started last month. If we look at last month, let's go to June or July. I was down 1R, down 2R, down 3R in the first 2 trading days of the first full week of that month. And how I traded last week, the week before that, was also not ideal as well. So what's going on? I got to ask myself. Well, these days are pretty much identical. Monday and Tuesday, on the 7th and the 8th of July, are very similar to the conditions presented on Monday and Tuesday of the 4th and the 5th of August. Let's examine. Take a look at the economic calendar. What do you see? No driver on Monday. It's just a lack of drivers overall, right? There's really nothing on the economic calendar this week. So what does that mean? Market's probably going to be a difficult read. Lacking injection volatility. Okay, let's go to July. On the 7th and 8th, it's kind of the same thing, right? So, if my trade model is one that heavily depends on the higher time frame narrative and really needs a clear direction in the development of the weekly range, that weekly bias has to be very clear. Daily bias has to be very clear. And I'm trading on days where that is not clear at all because there's a lack of injection of volatility. There's no news drivers. What happens as a result? These are the results I get. So, although I'm in the shitter in the first 2 days of this month, I'm grateful for these lessons. I'm grateful to be put in this situation because with every failure comes with it an equivalent seed of success, which means the failure that I'm experiencing right now is not necessarily a negative thing so long as I see the positive and the negative at the same time. Now, if I only see the negative, of course, the failure is going to get a negative connotation. I'm not going to get anything from it. But I know that with every failure comes an equivalent seed of success, which means there's something from this failure that's going to allow me to learn and to grow and to develop as a trader. There's something from this failure, a seed of success, that's going to put me on the path that I need to be on to finally grow comfortable with my model, to consistently execute this thing, know exactly when to execute it, know exactly when not to. So the lessons from today and yesterday are showing me when not to operate my model. Now, with that monologue out of the way, let's get into the daily review. So, my net P&L today, down $510. It is the largest loss that I've ever taken on this trading account. So my pre-market game plan, what is the draw on liquidity? The gap that's congruent on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. Also converts the daily order block in the direction of the new day opening gap, not used a lot. So my bias is bullish, right? Yesterday's candle close indicated that a low week is potentially in. It settled near its high, so the potential for settlement continuation is there today. And even if it's not, the market should rebalance the obvious gap on the 4 hour and 1 hour if it is to make the high week and trade lower. Either way, I see it drawing towards that. So how's it going to get there? I like how price sat above Monday daily high, establishing new fair value. So I'd like to see it drop and take consolidation range low, tap the 4 hour gap and overnight sell side, then work for that gap. So that was the idea I was looking for, right? So I'll do a quick rundown, top-down analysis on why I was thinking exactly that. Okay. First, let's get some background information of what I was looking for going into yesterday and how I got that bias incorrect as well. If I go to yesterday, even a fatter loss yesterday, my higher time frame narrative was basically how last week's candle closed tells me price is probably interested in reaching for the open obvious gap. I like how price is trading up inside last week's range without delivering the gap or previous weekly low. I'd like to see it seek a premium, then show me willingness to break lower for this gap. So yesterday I was bearish, anticipating something like today to unfold. And today I was bullish, anticipating the market to continue trading into a premium of last week's range and then reverse break lower for that, or whatever the market wanted to do. I thought it made sense for me to expect higher prices regardless of if the market was bullish or bearish today, because what I wanted to see was the market rebalance this range and then show some willingness to want to trade for this obvious gap below. Why am I thinking that? Because we've had these large 2 consecutive down days, and the market had this shallow run underneath this low right there, right? So I'm not really convinced that that is going to be a solid low that sends the market back up to a new all-time high. So I want to see the market rebalance this range, find a premium, then trade back down for this, and ultimately draw for this. That was the idea that I had confidence in yesterday. And obviously the market didn't do that. Look what it did. Settled near its high, right? Now, because yesterday's range settled near its high, in my eyes, that's bullish. And I have a settlement continuation, where the market settles near its high on the previous daily range. The following candle, I can expect something similar, or at least the market to trade higher. Now here, I was expecting the market to trade higher to seek this gap that was really open and obvious on the 4-hour as well as the 1-hour. So that gap is congruent on the 4-hour and the 1-hour. So I was thinking, regardless of if we're bullish or bearish today, I think the market should draw up into that first. So it doesn't matter if we're bullish or bearish on the weekly range, because if we're bullish, it's going to trade for that gap. And if we're bearish, it's going to trade for that gap, reject it, and then go lower. Now, obviously, that didn't happen today. It just sat in this consolidation range and then left the range lower, which typically does not happen. Like 99% of the time, the market doesn't make this kind of a move from a consolidation range, especially when we go expansion, consolidation, reversal. It usually goes expansion, consolidation, expansion. And we form the high a day in the pre-market session. That typically doesn't happen either. So it's just something out of the ordinary that happens today, something that usually doesn't happen. And based on how the market set up in the overnight and pre-market session, this is not even my model at all, because the market lacked volatility in the overnight and pre-market session. For my model to set up, I need volatility in the overnight and pre-market session to provide a range that price can work back within after 9:30. So that kind of raised a red flag for me before the open. And I note that this is yesterday. Let's go back to today in the daily journal. Concerns: lacking overnight and pre-market volatility, opening in the middle of this range. It is protocol to not engage unless market delivers an extreme of the range. Could potentially get caught in the spider web of in dogs and be very high resistance, especially with the lack of overnight volatility. So with this condition right here, the market before the market opens at 9:30, it's in the middle of the overnight and pre-market range. That's a no-go for me. My model is not going to set up, and I have that clearly defined in my specific processes that I've outlined for my model. Day selection. Unfavorable conditions for my model, it won't set up. No overnight pre-market volatility. Price opens in the middle of the range. Price opens in the middle of the range and immediately leaves in favor of the draw, right? So you can see that this just is not setting up. It's just not my model. It's just not what I do. It's not what I look for. Yesterday was the same kind of condition. Yesterday the market opened at 9:30 and just left. That's not a condition that's ideal for my model at all. That's the second thing that I have mentioned here, right? It just leaves in favor of the draw. That's not ideal for my model at all. So yesterday, not ideal for my model. Today, not ideal for my model. Both did not give me what I was looking for. I got the higher time frame narrative incorrect on both of these trading days. So obviously, this teaches me what? Day selection. Day selection. The days to avoid. What are the days that I should avoid? Well, the days that I should avoid are going to be shown to me clearly based on this right here, the economic calendar. If there's no injection of volatility on multiple consecutive days and really a lack of injection of volatility throughout the entire duration of the week, I know that's probably going to be a shitty trading week with difficult conditions. And I know Monday with no news driver, not ideal for my model. Tuesday with no news driver, typically not ideal for my trading model. And how the market criteria set up in the overnight and pre-market session today confirmed that. But I still wanted to trade this session. I still wanted to do something today. Now in the future, do you think this is a day that I'm going to trade? Absolutely not. It's going to be something that I walk away from. And I did that last month on this Friday, the 18th. If I go to this daily note, And I look how the market's set up, right? Very similar. Very, 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 very similar. Very similar. No overnight, no pre-market volatility, correct? Now, what did I end up doing that day? I plan to be a buyer. These conditions are too shit for me to do anything. Nothing, this is shit. Nothing because this is shit. I literally walked away within the first 10 minutes of market open. That's it. I wonder if I'm annotating it somewhere in here. All right, I annotated it in my intraday thought process. I know the conditions are super shit. My long doesn't make sense with how the market suddenly shit to pre-market. Goodbye. I walked away 7 minutes into the open because I know that this is not an ideal day for my model. I saw the market was moving. I'm gone. Today, not the case. So let's look at the 7th and the 8th from last month as well and see if we can find a pattern between what is going on the days that I'm hurting myself, the days that I'm putting myself in such large blocks of drawdown. I can't be doing this. I cannot be doing this. Let me get myself out of the way. I cannot be doing this. I can't be doing this. If I'm to be profitable, I cannot be putting myself in large periods of drawdown. Why am I putting myself in such big holes early on into the month? Well, it's the same thing. It's market criteria. It's market condition. It's how those days are setting up based on the economic calendar. It's the same thing. If we look at the 4th and the 5th today on the economic calendar, nothing, right? Or this is last month. 4th and the 5th today, we had that 10 o'clock red folder. But besides that, look at the week. It's basically empty. No driver yesterday, 10 o'clock driver today, empty, empty, empty. And what do we see on the 7th and the 8th of the last month? The same thing. Empty, 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 empty. Okay? I just realized that I was blocking you guys from seeing it. So let me look through it real quick. Again, Monday, nothing, nothing. This week, nothing, nothing, nothing. Right? Empty. Basically just empty. Sorry, I have to move myself around so much because I keep showing a bunch of different things. So back to TradeZella. Now let's review the market condition on these days. How did this shit set up? Okay, let's go to a 15 minute. Let's go to a 15 minute. This is an hourly. Even on the hourly, you can see the conditions are what? Very, 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 very unfavorable. This is a 15 minute. We can see the lack of overnight pre-market volatility. And it looks like we're going to open in the middle of that range. Okay, so that checks the boxes for probably going to be a shit condition. I'm not sure if that was the 7th or the 8th. Let's see. And then the following day, the 7th, or the day before that, the 7th, the same thing, right? Lack of overnight volatility, opening basically in the middle of the range. What happens when I trade on these? I put myself in a hole. Hopefully I was not in the way again. Shoot. Stand by, stand by, stand by. All right, we're good. Okay, so obviously, constraint. Now the market literally gave me everything that I planned for today. If we look at my plan, I'm looking for price to trade down first, take overnight sell side, then trade higher. Note, if price opens in the middle of the range, I'm not engaging. I must wait for price to take out an extreme. This is protocol. So, I mean, I did just that. Let me log into this. And fat ass drawdown right now, right? Just over the course of 2 days. 2 days, that's all it takes. That's literally all it takes. So we drop down first at 9:30. We take the overnight low. A large up candle comes back inside the range, confirms a reversal for me. Now I had my limit order on the upper quadrant of this gap. I noticed how I was sitting on top of the 9:30 open price. So I was thinking, okay, it's probably not going to drop into that gap to get me that fill on the upper quadrant of this gap. I placed it on the upper quadrant of this gap because the condition was high resistance. Usually in high resistance conditions, you have to be very, very, very late with your entry because the market's going to have deep retracements before it delivers what you're looking for. In this case, I noticed I was just consolidating right here, sitting above the 9:30 open price. So I went at the market there, and I'm targeting the draw that I established in my pre-market plan, which was that open obvious gap on the 4 hour. Now, why was this idea incorrect? Let's think about it. My narrative yesterday, right? Wanting to see price push up on the weekly range first is what it did. I wanted to see it push up on the weekly range first, rebalance to a premium of this range, and then see if it shows any willingness to want to break lower for previous weekly low and this obvious gap down here. That started to develop today. How it did is not how I thought it would. I thought it would reach for that obvious gap. It didn't do that, which is why I set the bias of regardless of if I'm bearish or bullish, or regardless of if the weekly range is bearish or bullish, I think it should trade for this gap. It didn't do that. It just sat right above the equilibrium of that range. But I kind of dropped the idea that I had from yesterday's session going into today's session. Still lacking, a clear direction of what the weekly range is likely to do because it's only Tuesday. It's not really clear to me until Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm stronger in the latter half of the week. I know that for a fact. And I'm weak in the early half of the week, if you can see by my calendar. It's clearly indicated by my calendar, right? Red, red. Early half of the week, red, red. Come Wednesday, come Friday, good trades. I'm just overall not even executing that many good solid trades, just lacking consistency all around. But this is definitely a big constraint that's going to dig myself into deep holes that's hard to get out of because I already lack consistency. Now I'm engaging on days that I shouldn't trade at all, that aren't ideal, that aren't optimal for my model. It's just making things really, really hard for myself. So now I've given back almost everything. We've gone from a high of almost 8R all the way back down to 3.69R, about to become break even again. So I'm having these nice trades, but they're very, very infrequent. And in between each winning trade that I'm taking, I'm just experiencing these large periods of drawdown. Now I put myself in this large period of drawdown because of the market condition, as we've identified today and established that. And it's the same thing with this as well. So because of this problem, because of everything that I've experienced, this failure, this temporary defeat that comes with it, the equivalent seed of a success, now I'm developing a system to help me really, really, really understand my trade model. So this is the optimal intraday swing model study system. That's my model. It's the optimal intraday swing model. It relies heavily on the higher time frame narrative. It relies heavily on a clear draw on liquidity. It relies heavily on a very solid idea of where that weekly candle is going. The development of the weekly range has to be clear to me. So I'm going to literally document every single day that I've traded since June. Document everything. Mark down all the criteria. What driver was there? What day it was? What playbook it presented? The date. Everything is going to be documented here. And I want a clear picture of exactly what the market looks like, what conditions it presents, what criteria sets up in the overnight or pre-market session, when my model is there and when it is not. If today is not a day that presented my model, I'm going to go back, note all the criteria that made it not present my model, and carry that forward as an experience. Carry that forward as a lesson and experience that's going to allow me to prevent myself from engaging on days like this and just completely sit them out and wait for the days where I know are high probability, where I know the conditions are going to be favorable and my model is going to be there. So this is something that I've started. I already have some solid examples in here of my trade model. Let's see if I can find some. 83 examples. I'm including all the days I backtested, all the days that I've live traded. So I have some solid examples in here, and you can see that everything is very systematically organized. Even my annotating system on the charts is systematically organized. So you can clearly see that there's no fucking way that I could possibly fucking fail. Absolutely no way. It's literally just a matter of time. It's my persistent action and I refuse to fucking give up. I refuse to quit. I refuse to not make this work because this is my dream. This is what I've put my heart and soul into. There is no fucking possible way that I can fail. This is what I do. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. I love working on this. I can't fail. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of more experience, more repetitions, and building the experience necessary to take me to a level of profitability, but also developing the level of emotional maturity as well, and recognizing the situations that I hurt myself, but a constraint that I've identified from today's failure or temporary defeat. It's temporary defeat. It's not permanent failure. It's temporary defeat. And with it comes the equivalency to success, right? So because of the failure that I've experienced today, look what I've developed. I've built this system. So how can you sit here and think about your losses and your failures as anything other than a positive? Because if I didn't experience what I experienced today, that wouldn't have pushed me and motivated me to create this system and create this intention that I'm taking to now understand my model on a whole new level. And I know that there's absolutely no possible way, because everything that I do is with intention and it's backed by faith in myself. I cannot fucking fail. I cannot fucking fail. I'm trying to share this mindset with you guys so that you guys can emulate and implement it and also become the best fucking version of yourself. That's what this channel is for. If you're subscribed to me, you're behind that. And you also want to become the best version of yourself. If you're subscribed to me, I appreciate your support. Those of you who comment on my videos consistently, thank you. I think that's going to be it for this one. This video is 20 minutes long now. It's about the cutoff time. But this is where I'm at. Just keep in mind, temporary defeat. It's not permanent failure, temporary defeat. False failures. Every single one of them carries with it an equivalency to success. Every single one. If you can frame all your failures and your losses from that perspective, then you get shit on and you don't even give a fuck because you know it's going to make you better. Like I did today, I got fucking shit on. I'm down so much this week. I keep putting myself into these deep holes. Does it seem like I'm being affected mentally at all? Not at all. I'm in no rush. I know I'm not there yet. I know I still need to put in work. I don't care. I know I'm going to get there regardless. This is the confidence that I have myself. This is the confidence that you guys need to have in yourself. That I believe in my persistent action so much that I know that there's no fucking way that I can fail at this shit. There's absolutely no way. So here's the numbers. Here's the raw truth. Here's how I think on a day-to-day basis. I'm putting it all out here and I'm being fucking real. So that's going to be it for this one. Get behind the fucking movement. Let's go.